Hey friends, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to share exactly how I overcome multiple chemical sensitivities using a blend of exposure therapy and brain rewiring. So overcoming multiple chemical sensitivity is actually something that I thought was impossible, but with this method, it helped me retrain my nervous system and reduce the fear and reverse the symptoms that had once controlled my life. And if you're reacting to everyday things like perfumes, any kind of household cleaners or scented products like laundry detergent or anything like that, I want you to know that your brain is just trying to protect you. It's actually learned to associate these certain smells with danger. So the good news is that with the right approach, you can retrain your brain's responses. So you may be asking, what causes multiple chemical sensitivities and what causes it to spiral into all these flares? So it's not really about the smell itself. It's about the learned threat response that your brain has become hyper alert to certain scents. And even a tiny amount of exposure can actually set off these symptoms. And it can cause all kinds of symptoms, anything from headaches, racing heart, dizziness, panic attacks, any kind of nervous system dysregulation. And it can happen suddenly. One minute you're fine, you don't have any sensitivities whatsoever, and then you're going through, if you go through any kind of like major event in your life, or like you get a divorce, or maybe you were exposed to a lot of chemicals, or maybe you had a virus, or perhaps you were living in a water damaged building. Anything can set off the threat center and protection center in your brain, the amygdala, and it can stay on high alert, and it causes all these symptoms. So that's actually what happens. It really drives a cycle. It's not actually the triggers, but it's actually the avoidance and the fear that actually keep it on high alert. So the good news is that you can overcome multiple chemical sensitivities with repeated exposure. And this, I've tried everything, and this is the only thing that worked for me in my healing journey, because avoiding can actually, it makes sense when your body feels like it's under attack, but it reinforces the messages that the trigger is actually dangerous. And that's why exposure and rewiring your brain, when it's done safely and consistently, can be the most powerful tools. So what I used to do and what I do now is that when I first started healing, I definitely, I used the neuroplasticity program, which was DNRS at the time. And with that method, it's exposing yourself and then immediately going into a round to rewire the limbic system. And that, of course, helped me early on, but I found something that works even better with my method and my program. The way that I teach people is to just simply, expose yourself, gently expose yourself to the trigger and allow the symptoms to just rise. And then I pair it with a positive memory or a positive experience. And then I just go about my day and I'm happy and I engage in life instead of acting out in fear. So this has been really powerful. It sends a clear message to the brain that, I'm safe now. You don't have to overprotect me. And I'm calm. It's not dangerous. So you can start turning down the volume of all the symptoms, because I'm doing really good now, and you don't need to overprotect me. So as long as that your brain starts seeing this repeatedly, it will eventually turn off the symptoms, and you're no longer going to react to that particular chemical. So what I recommend that you do is that you pick a mild trigger to start with. I started with my favorite perfume when I was it was Angel, and even though I had it had started to trigger these symptoms, I started thinking of a happy time in my life when I lived in South Beach and had a really strong, healthy relationship with my husband back then, and I was thriving in my career, and just good memories, good music, good friends, and fun times. And I used this to my advantage. So you could start by smelling and recalling a vivid and a positive memory. And this is powerful because it creates a new association with the smell. So you can actually take a quick, subtle sniff and just enough to lightly activate the trigger, or maybe spray a little bit far away And then just start thinking about a happy memory tied to that scent. So again, I just started thinking about the time that I was thriving in my career. It was just happy times for me. And I was in South Beach, Miami, Florida. And I was with my best friends. And we were having fun. And we were listening to music. And we were dancing. And later on, we were going to a beach party. And I was living life fully. And I didn't have any restrictions. And I'm wearing the Angel perfume. And I'm feeling confident and excited and alive. Now, you want this memory to be sensory rich. So visualize the sights, sounds, smells, and emotions in as much detail as possible. And this activates what we call dose chemicals. And this is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And when these are activated, they actually release feel-good neurotransmitters that are healing to our body. So just sit in the positive response and let that feeling wash over you, even if your symptoms do arise. And just simply embrace, don't resist. Let your bodies actually feel the stress while your mind stays anchored in safety. So while you're feeling good, this contrast is what teaches your brain that maybe this isn't dangerous after all. And it's amazing how effective this is. And then just simply re-engage with your life. So after sitting in the memory for maybe 15, 20 minutes, then go do something normal. Just, go for a walk, go make lunch, go do laundry. Just go about your day and don't let the symptoms hold you back. And definitely don't panic and talk about symptoms. Just do anything that signals to your brain that we're not stuck, we're moving on. And your brain will eventually get a new signal and start dialing down the symptoms. So once I was able to stay calm with the Angel perfume, I would gradually move on to scents that had been my personal no-go list for a long time. So things like, I remember I was having a hard time with like regular shampoos because I had gotten rid of anything that was had any kind of toxic chemicals in it. So I started bringing in regular shampoos and everyday cleaning products, and eventually just tiny amounts of even more stronger stuff, like maybe even bleach. But one of the most powerful breakthroughs that actually came was from something ordinary. It was actually a lemon scent counter cleaner. I used to send me in a full-blown panic when I used to smell this stuff. It would give me like dizziness and a migraine headache. But I decided to face it in a different way this time. I would smell it again during the exposure. And what happened was something unexpected. This lemon scent, actually, it reminded me of my grandmother's house, because she had always had this really strong lemon scented spray in her kitchen. And I remember standing on a chair as a kid, helping her wipe down the counters with that smell. And I just remember her baking cookies, and I could still hear her humming to the radio and smiling at me. And it's moments like this that helps the most. I believe that if you can come up with a strong association, it can be the best thing that can happen, because that part of the brain is actually responsible for emotions and fear. So anyway, the memory grounded me, and it actually gave me something sweet and safe to hold on to. So I used that moment the same way that I had with the Angel perfume. I took a small sniff and I visualized that peaceful afternoon in my grandma's kitchen. And I just, I took it slow, and I let my nervous system feel both the trigger and the safety. And I stayed in that memory that was warm and light. And the smell of the cookies and her laugh. And it just made my body relax, all the good times that I had. And this is when I actually knew that it was working. These small exposures paired with a warm, safe memory was actually one of the most powerful things in recovering with multiple chemical sensitivity. So engage in life. And I did this about 4 to 5 times a day. It's you can break this up over the course of, you want to do an hour a day to teach your brain that you're safe. And the more you can do it, the better. So what you can expect with the time frame and how long this can take. So I do want to just be completely honest with you. I want to be honest about how long it took. It did take me, I believe it took about 6 weeks to fully retrain my response. And some days were extremely tough. And I did still get symptoms, and I really had extremely bad symptoms. But no matter what, I kept showing up. Little by little, things changed. And my advice with this whole process is if you can just be consistent for at least 1 hour a day for 30 days, even if you have to break this up into small baby steps each day. At first, you may not think it's working. I get that. I did that too. But the truth is, this is a proven method, and it's worked for so many people that have multiple chemical sensitivities. So just make sure that you are consistent. So, like I said, it's all about repetition, repetition, repetition. And that hour can actually be broken up into 10 to 15 minutes of exposure, spaced all throughout the day. So just stay committed. Your brain needs repetition and safety to rewire those stress responses that is associated with that trigger. And this is actually the key to overcoming multiple chemical sensitivities. And, oh yeah, I was going to tell you a bonus tip that I highly recommend is that any kind of dancing or playing music, so if you're having a rough time overcoming this, then just simply dance and smile while you do it, because this signals safety. And it might sound weird, but it tricks the brain. If I'm smiling, moving, singing, and how dangerous can this really be? So it's going to create a new positive association with this trigger, and this literally retrains your nervous system through joy. And that's just the contrast actually rewires this response, the stress response, really fast. So yeah, this works absolutely, but you have to be consistent, and you will get symptoms at first. Just make sure that you don't give up and get comfortable in the discomfort. As odd as that sounds, it is important that you do get comfortable in the discomfort. You don't have to live in fear of, chemical sensitivities forever, and you don't need to live in a bubble or avoidance behaviors, because if you have avoidance behaviors, that can actually heighten the stress response. You just need to retrain your brain that you're safe and give it the right signals. So yeah, if this was helpful, then leave a comment below and let me know. And if you're interested in getting started in a brain rewiring program or a neuroplasticity program, I will link that in the description below. But yeah, I'm excited for you. And if you want to overcome this, then I do recommend that you get started today and be consistent. And God bless you. And I'll see you in the next video.